So if getting away from your normal world is the key to enjoying that feeling of fear, what am I doing in a bland 70s office building in the centre of Manchester? This isn't what haunted houses look like in the movies. Like every great haunted house, this building has a secret. And the secret is a collaboration between theatre company Punch Drunk, multimedia musician Damon and maverick documentary filmmaker Adam Curtis. Together, they're trying to recreate the unease of a ghost train ride here in a faceless office block in Manchester. But the project is so secretive that I can only see tiny glimpses of the work as it nears completion. Punch Drunk's immersive productions are all about the live experience. You either participate or you miss it. So although there are numerous sets built inside this office block, this creepy torture pit cum gas chamber is just about all that theatre director Felix Barrett has allowed us to film.
The most exciting bit for me, actually, of any production is the moment before you enter. And that apprehension, the excitement mixed with nerves of what's going to happen, what you're going to see when you open that first door. We want everyone to have that acknowledgement of they themselves discovering it for the first time.
Tell me how what you've done here relates to ghost trains and haunted houses.
The notion of the ghost train, the haunted house, you don't know what's around the next corner. Ghost trains last 5 minutes, just a moment of potent, intense sensory bombardment. It's just bang, bang, it's slapdash. Whereas the theatrical equivalent is to hold back and to allow the suspense to build. So we're trying to merge these two worlds together. So the audience might be expecting one thing, and then we'll give them another.
How much influence does this building have on the experience that the audience will have?
With all of our work, we want to remove the audience from the safety of their formulaic conventions of going to the theatre. This whole piece is about fictional horror and fictional fear and ghosts, but equally it plays with the notion of real fear and the times when you're alone and you're lonely and you're nervous and you're paranoid. And setting it in quite a real, familiar, generic space means that it gives the audience quite a good grounding for that.
I'm somebody who's seen hundreds, thousands of horror films, been on loads and loads of ghost trains, in search of that moment when you're genuinely scared, when you're genuinely taken out of yourself. I know what I get out of it, but people ask me all the time, why would you want to be scared? Why do you want your audience to have that experience? What do they get from it?
It's a moment of raw escapism. It's an illicit sensation that you wouldn't really want to experience in real life, but you're allowing yourself to, and that is thrilling.
I think it's lack of control. You lose control. The whole relationship with these things is that when you're actually on a ride, you and somebody else is controlling you. And maybe in this day and age, where everything's licensed and legitimised, we need something to tell us we don't know what's going to happen.
It's one of the few moments in which you can actually lean on something spiritually and allow yourself to believe for a second in something you don't see. And we want that experience. It's magical, it's beautiful, it's purging, it's really quite strong.
From the age-old allure of the haunted house through the dark thrills of fairground rides to this immersive theatrical experience, it's that confrontation with the unknown that both seduces and terrifies us. I can't tell you what's through that door because I don't know. That's exactly why I want to go through it.
Charlotte, were you scared?
I was scared out of my living daylight. I mean, as soon as, when you walk into this experience, somebody at the door says to you, if you have heart problems, are pregnant, or of a nervous disposition, you might think about whether this is the show for you. And at that point, I thought, this is absolutely not the show for me, because I have an extremely nervous disposition. I was there in that thing for 2.5 hours. At the end of it, I was terrified, I was dehydrated, I felt shaky. Yeah, it was really scary.
I was, you know, I had that feeling that someone was going to jump out and say boo, And also the way they laid it out was quite sinister, you know, the half-light and then the kind of dummies, which I kept thinking, well, they've got people inside them. Didn't you think that about the dummies?
Yes, there were these simulacra of people, and they weren't quite realistic. You couldn't really mistake them for real people, which was part of the
But
terror
they almost
of
looked
them.
like a shell of a
I
real
thought that maybe
person.
they would spring to life and do something really vile to you. And I don't know about somebody being scared of somebody yelling boo at you. I was scared that somebody was going to, you know, kill or rape me or something. It was really scary.
I thought one of its shortcomings was that, unlike on a ghost train, where you're actually strapped into a seat and can't move and have no choice about the speed you're going or where you're going, you did have a little too much freedom of movement. You could kind of peek behind the curtain. You could feel the dummies to see if there was someone real in there.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been more effective had you been kind of on a rail, a more passive kind of receiver of the experience.
Yeah.
I think it's
I'm curious
asking you
about Charlotte.
questions about how much you want to, what is the nature of this dark and strange experience that you want so much.
But it was almost like two shows in which initially
Yeah.
you kind of, you're acquainted with the ideas, you enter these various rooms, you progress through this labyrinth, but there are no kind of really nasty shocks, and then suddenly there are a
Yeah.
series of really nasty shocks, and it becomes much more like a haunted house, and I thought
Yeah.
it got a lot better
When
the
you got
shocks
more
started.
scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. In the middle, I mean, kind of bridging these two moments is a documentary by Adam Curtis, and we've got a kind of distilled version of it. It reflects on America's rise to power after the Second World War. So let's have a look now at this introduction, which is made especially for us by Adam Curtis himself. You should be aware that it contains some images that might be upsetting.